um, she's our cohort success story. She's a spotlight. She does amazing things with her business, and I can't wait to have her on. So let's get started.
Awesome. Thank you for
Hey,
having me on.
I'm so glad
Hello.
to have you. Yay! I
Thank
was
you.
waiting for this for a while, right?
I know. I'm so excited. I'm so excited we finally got it on the calendar and now we're here. So
Yes.
that's awesome.
Okay, so why don't you start out by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So my name is Anna, like Rolanda mentioned. Live in Dallas, Texas, born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, though. I started off my job as a human resources consultant, where I worked with a lot of different organizations and teams to understand what their strategy and visions were for their organization. However, after doing that for about 3.5 years or so, I'm like, like there's something about this where it's not filling my heart fully. And after going through a lot of inner healing and emotional healing as well, where I really tapped into my faith and really dug into what my passion and what my purpose is, then I decided, like, you know what? I want to start my own business. I really want to go into holistic career coaching to help individuals who feel stuck in their work and then also not sure what their passion and purpose is. So I started that. I left my corporate America 6-figure job at the end of June of this year, so of 2022. And then I started picking up my business aside from doing volunteer work and whatnot. Worked with Rolanda to really get my business started, and it's been amazing. Definitely highs and lows as an entrepreneur, but have been able to make some chunk of change in the first few months and just really get to understand, who I am, what my brand is, and what I want to go for. So that's kind of like professional side of the house, Anna. But personal side, I love singing, I love dancing, love going to concerts. Orange Theory. I am such an exercise nerd, big soccer fan, love to go swimming. And I love my family as well. So I often go up to Ohio to visit them and whatnot. So that's a little bit about me. Also, I love the Lord. I love being involved in church whenever I can. We love Him. So, anything from Bible studies to lecturing, that for me has really just been pivotal in both my personal and professional life, is just really getting ingrained into my faith. So, that's, kind of me all in all, both personally and professionally. So,
Thank you for sharing. So let's talk about
yeah.
that walk of faith.
Yeah.
I remember talking to you right before maybe about a month before you left,
Yeah.
and you were like, I want to do this, but I don't know. I have to think about it. I need to research. I just want to be really careful, for which I respected.
Mm-hmm.
And then you told me how much you made a year, and I was like, wow, okay, she's gonna have this big walk of faith. So
Yeah.
why don't you tell me about what that walk looks like for you?
Yeah. So, oh wow, where do I even start with that? Because there's so much more than to just when I talked to you a few months ago. But for me, just like in general with my faith, and I'm sure a lot of solopreneurs or just people who are listening can relate to this. Is I grew up, born and raised within my faith. But I felt like I was just kind of checking off the boxes as opposed to really, really being involved. I was just kind of known as what's called a cradle Catholic. So I just kind of went through the motions without really understanding. Um, and then I got more and more involved in my faith. It was more of a choice as opposed to a force as I went into college and then even post college. Again, one of the big things in my walk of faith was my inner healing. It was back in 2020 during COVID. I was having some relationship issues. I'm like, oh man, I don't know, but Lord, I need some sort of answer. And that's when my inner healing program came about, called Alive and Free. And basically, what I did was go through a lot of inner healing and basically looked at the mirror to understand what my pains and triggers were. And then how I can mend those gaps of my heart with the Lord, and then so that I can show up for myself and for others. So all of that's to say is I say a lot of that stuff is because it leads or it bleeds into my professional life. So when I was thinking about leaving my job, it was a big risk, right? Like I was leaving six figures on this table. I was leaving stability. I was working at, a big four firm. So one of the Fortune 500 companies. I was definitely leaving a lot, and it was hard, right? Because I was like, man, like I feel like the Lord has provided me this, but I feel like I have some sort of calling that something's meant for more for me. And if I didn't go through that inner healing, I would never have had the confidence to start my own business. I think for me personally, especially like high achiever, corporate America girl, I faced a lot of inner critic and a lot of perfectionist habits to where I really needed to break those down, understand where they originated from, and then provide healing to like a little inner child of myself that those needs were really unmet. And by doing that, I was able to build the confidence to say, hey, I can do this, because leaving I thought of leaving EY and then
Mhm.
starting my own practice in 2021, but I had so many self-limiting beliefs in my way saying, you're too young, you're going to fail at this, you're not good enough. Things that I've been conditioned my whole life to tell myself. So I
Mhm.
really had to reframe my mindset, really focus on myself for the year. And then I had that confidence in 2022 to take that jump. And I think
Mhm.
it was a matter of deciding when to take that jump, because I think career transitions, you definitely have to be clear in what you want and what you're passionate about, but then also have the confidence to do it. So I had those two. I was like, okay, this is fine. But now it was more of a strategic element of when do I actually do this? Because, life and career, they integrate so much with
Yes, they do.
another. Yeah. And that's what I always tell my clients that I'm like, those two go so hand in hand with one another. So, there's more than just jumping to a career, right? You have to make it a strategic jump by considering finances, by looking at life, like what you're committed to. And if you're able to make that shift, because especially going into solopreneur life, it is drastically, and I'm still learning this, it is drastically different than your stable corporate America job. So what I wanted to do was prep myself as much as I could before I said yes. And that kind of leads us to like the conversation I had with you. I think a month or so before enrolling into the program, because I was like, okay, I need to like work with my financial advisor. I need to like look at my savings. I need to understand how much can I plan and calculate? Like, how much can I prepare myself
Mhm.
before diving into this? Because not only did I need a plan A, but I also needed like a contingency plan and then a
Mhm.
contingency plan to the contingency plan. So again, it's just trying to build myself as much upfront, knowing
Mhm.
it is going to change and shift and it's not going to be what I expected.
Mhm.
But it got to a point where I was like, okay, this is a strategic decision. This is what I'm
At
passionate.
some point, you had to jump.
And I'm like, I have to make the jump. And then it was just a really good time for me to. I was going to try to stay at my job until 2023, where I got like a $25,000 bonus. But I was like,
Ooh.
I was like, I am with this job, I am literally at the end of my rope, and it's just not really helping me with my personal and professional goals. So after reassessing those, I was like, it's time to make this jump. It's time to enroll in this program. And here we go. So
And you know
that's,
what?
there's
You
so
bring up
much to it.
you bring up a wonderful point, right?
Mhm.
Because many watchers, many people who are going to see this
Yeah.
have experienced the same thing. They may not have
Hmm.
left. They may not even have, you know, enough money in the bank to seriously consider.
Yeah.
Some people have gotten fired. Meta just fired like 14,000 people.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So companies are letting folks go. And so, you know, it makes sense that you were sitting there just trying to figure it out beforehand. trying to
Mhm.
prepare yourself.
Mhm.
My word to people who are not in as an advantageous position as Anna is, if when God tells you to jump, jump.
Yeah.
I am a testimony of someone who I didn't have it all set up like Anna. We had savings, we had a little savings. My husband worked, I had other um, pieces of income from retirement, but it wasn't to the world, it wasn't a great time to leave my job. And then one day he was like, okay, it's enough. It's enough. So I
Yeah.
put in my 30 days notice, and I'm telling you, like, when God tells you to do something, he's going to make sure you're okay. I
Yeah.
had a contract landed before I left my job. Like a week before, 7 days before, I had signed a contract with a company to
Yeah.
subcontract.
Yep.
So if God is telling you to jump, jump. And only you know how he's talking to you, because he'll tell us in a dream. He'll revisit, he'll bring back something over and over again. Someone will come to you out of nowhere and say a phrase that's been popping around your atmosphere from
Mhm.
other unconnected sources. And you're like, okay, fine, 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 fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, he's telling us something, right?
Yeah. So if
Yeah.
he says jump, if he says go for it with your business while you're still working, just listen to God, because he
Yeah.
has a plan and he's laid it out. He just needs you to trust him enough to take the next step.
Yeah.
And I
It's so
know
true.
I'm one of those people. Like, I like to know the plan for the plan and the plans after that. I want to know the whole picture. I want to know the whole strategy, how it's
Yeah.
supposed to turn out, what the end result is supposed to look like. And I've had to learn to have enough faith to follow him in the next step. Even when it doesn't
Yeah.
make sense, even when it feels like you're going backwards, I've had to learn to be like, okay, just do this, Rolanda. There's a
Just
plan. And
breathe.
every single time, 100% of the time, it turns out better than I ever thought.
Yeah.
Complete
Yeah.
much better.
Yeah.
So now that we know where you started off before Business Launch Prep School, let's talk about your journey in the program.
Yeah, yeah. So I was very lucky. I think it was one of the very lucky individuals, because I was telling Rolanda before I enrolled, I was like, I really like one-on-one coaching, but like I don't know if I can like commit financially to that when I'm first starting off. But it so happened that the group coaching program,
Mhm.
it was only me who enrolled.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I couldn't thank Rolanda enough, just because of everything that I learned. I loved One of the things that made me enroll in the program was just everything was laid out. Like Rolanda was saying, like I'm a person who likes to see kind of what's all happening, how it's all going to work. But a lot of what she had prepared was stuff that I was really looking for, and things like, how do you define your target market, and how do you, create a group coaching program? How do you develop contracts? How do you have a good customer experience? Just like all this kind of stuff. For me, it was like, oh, I really need this, and this is really helpful. And I think not only like the plan for the particular program was really helpful, but just during the group coaching sessions, I mean, we worked on so much stuff. And I think the beauty in that of working one on one was that we could kind of jump around the material. And I think Rolanda
Mhm.
was really powerful in just like listening and attuning, like just kind of recognizing, okay, like it seems like you're doing really good in this section. How about we jump? Why don't we try this instead? Or there were just days, I'm going to be honest, where I was just having really rough days. I'm like, I'm like really upset. I'm really down. And she's like, okay, like, let's just try to reschedule. So I think for me, the importance of that was just not only learning the dynamics of how to start off my business, and start enrolling people into a group coaching program, but then also just like the personal aspect of it. So I think, Rolanda did a wonderful job of just
You.
really like, again, just attuning to my needs, just being such like a servant, if that's like just a servant of the Lord. Like you could feel like the Lord through her, just
Mhm.
between like the amount of additional one-on-one coaching sessions we had outside of our group session meetings. how we were able to just connect, and even online or offline, just a lot of mentorship and guidance, and just having it from a perspective that's very validating, that's very encouraging, that's very filled. You could tell her heart is very filled with the Lord.
Thank
Was
you.
something that for me during the program, and I mean, even after the program too, I was just very thankful for. And I just gathered a lot of different resources from Rolanda, just a lot of tips and tricks as, a solopreneur that I'm forever grateful for. I'm like, oh my gosh, this has just been, it has been really wonderful, and just opening up my mindset to how to think as a entrepreneur, but then, how to have more of a faith-based approach, and really integrating that into each and everything that I do. Because I think oftentimes it's so easy for us, as solopreneurs, to want to quit or to want to just focus on the money. And I think that Rolanda did a wonderful job of always like bringing me back to center of like, hey, it's okay. Like, God's going to work his thing. It's going to take some time. Like, just focus on doing you and doing what the Lord is asking you to do. So
Thank you.
that was just really wonderful during the program as well. And even after, it's just like things that I've learned, and even mindset strategies I've learned to carry me through even after the program. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
So I am a perfect example of how time managed me and I didn't manage time. So
Yeah.
around that time, I wasn't really doing sales work. I was really trying to build this and do that and over here.
Mhm.
And then I was like, oh my gosh, this cohort is going to start. I don't have anybody. So like I all of a sudden I started to try to catch up with my sales work. And Anna
Yeah.
was like, yeah, sure. Yeah. And I worked with her a little bit. Just to build her trust and confidence for the
Yeah.
program. And then not only did she enroll, but she paid in full. I was like, oh my goodness. So for for this cohort, I didn't do my sales work. I was not adamant, but it worked out. I wasn't really bothered because I was like, you know what, we did talk about working one on one, and
Yeah.
that was a concern. And so now by default, you have me one-on-one. And I had already sweetened the pot by giving her a couple of extra one-on-one
Hmm.
sessions,
Hmm.
because she had paid in full. I had just threw in a little bit extra. So not only did she have like the group one-on-one experience, but she also had the one-on-one coaching sessions. And
Yeah.
so it was nice to have just one person to work with in this circumstance, because I do prefer group coaching. But in this circumstance, it was nice to work with Anna alone because she did the work. I'm going to repeat that, y'all. She did the work. And when she didn't do the work, she took responsibility. I didn't do my homework. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And she had at least reviewed some of it, so that even if she didn't do the work I told her to do, she was not unaware. She came and she was like, I know what we're going to talk about today. I didn't do my work. And because we were working one on one, it's like, okay, let's try to do some stuff right today.
Yeah.
So when your clients show up and they show up to work, it makes a huge difference in their results. It makes a huge difference in training them and working with them and coaching them, because you don't feel like you need to drag them the whole way. Like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is how coaching programs have success stories, right? Everybody wants to be a success story, but there's only a few people who become success stories, because guess what? Only a few people want to get in there and do the work. And don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, like, clients have full access to the program, all of its updates and everything that came with it for the life of the program. And I've been running the program for 3 years. And like my clients will tell you, I'm always making it more contemporary. I'm always like changing things so it's a little bit easier to understand, or adding new tools. So it's never a case of well, this is outdated. Like, no, 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 it's not outdated. So there, at some point at the end when you finish, I just I know who's finished, because it's hard to say, oh yeah, you're 90%, and then I change something and now you're back at 80. Like, I keep
Yeah.
track where you really are in the program. And so at the end, when you finish, I do give a certificate and a badge for what she shared on her profile. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, But business launch prep school, we go over four pillars, the four most important pillars. And then we add in the extra supporting information as bonuses so that you can still get that training. Like the bonuses are are valuable. Business filing. I go deep into the business filing process. I talk about insurance, taxes, basic tax stuff because I am not an accountant. But I do let you know, like you need an EIN, you need to get an accountant. So we do go over some basic stuff in a bonus. I talk about federal contracting and how just to get started on contracting. I discuss how to expand your revenue streams with consulting and contracting, subcontracting, and
Hmm.
how easy it is. We talk about trademarking and another bonus and protecting your intellectual property. So these are just bonuses that are added aside. In the program itself, I go over nailing down your target audience, which is a lot easier than people make it seem, and how to learn from your target audience what to put in your program. Like your target audience will build your program for you. How to build the program so it's not a PhD in, the program. Like the pilot for this was like a PhD, so to speak, level. Like I had everything and they were like, it's too much. I had to pull
Yeah.
some stuff out.
Yeah.
Your clients will tell you, like, I only need this six things.
Yeah.
How to price it. I do not believe in underpricing.
Yeah.
Even in your pilot or your beta program, you're going to get paid. Why? Because it costs money to run the program. It costs money to eat, turn your lights on.
Yeah.
You got to pay that student loan back for your coaching certificate. you know,
Yeah.
like things need to get paid and your time is valuable. And then we also go down to how to sell the program. Like you have good scripts. We do role play. I encourage you to go out and do role play. We go over your specific script. So I give you a format and then you guys have to tweak it. And then we go over the scripts. Like I act like the client, and then Anna and other clients will come to me and say, okay, we're having a phone call, and they get an opportunity to practice.
Hmm.
And then last, I tell you an easy way to onboard your clients so they feel secure. Like, okay, she does know what she's doing, kind of, like I
Yeah.
know what's coming next.
Yeah.
This is what the onboarding looks like. That doesn't cost you anything. Like you can use the tools that you already have to go through that. Oh, I had okay. So, Sex Chat 69 site. Don't get back on here. We're not about that. Okay. Um, we're talking about real business, so don't come back on here. So, the program is designed for you to do the work and to make money when you leave,
Yeah.
right? Anna just happened to like knock it slam out the park. Most of the clients who do the work make 4 to 5 figures when they continue to use the process within the first 3 to 6 months. I had a couple who made it within the first year. Right. So if you do the work and you continue to do the work, don't just stop because the program is over. You're going to make your investment back. Anna made her investment back plus some. I think it was 71% over um, the first 12 weeks. So why don't you tell us about that process of you earning your investment back?
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm happy to explain a little bit more. So, like Rolanda was talking about, one of the things I tapped into were a couple different revenue streams. So, not only do I work as a holistic career coach, but I also work as a human resources consultant. And I really love for the human resources consultant space. I love connecting with faith-based organizations or churches. So, I happen to reconnect with someone or a pastor who worked at a local church, and he's like, hey, I need help with this human resources consulting thing. He's like, I want to build the culture within within my organization with my staff now that I'm a new pastor. So I had like a 1-day workshop. It was awesome. It was like a 1-day retreat / workshop where we really talked about, not only the individual's purpose with working in the at the church, but then also how they can work as a team and then build into the culture in general. So that was really cool to work with them. And that was actually my first main project when I started solopreneuring, if you will, aside from like unpaid stuff that I worked with my career ministry on. That actually a big chunk of my initial revenue was through that human resources consulting position. And Rolanda helped a lot with helping with pricing and like getting the contracts together and things like that. Again, I was pulling a lot from my previous role, but I think the idea of setting up proposals and contracts and that kind of stuff was really helpful with her advice. And then also through the program, through the BLPS program, I created a group coaching program. So that was something that I never thought about before. I was like, oh, I'll just do like one-on-one coaching all the time. But then I realized, like, wow, that takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of energy. And I love working one-on-one with people, but how could I do a mix of both, right? So how can I, kind of work one-on-one with people, but then also have them do like homeworks and assignments on the side. And then also financially, getting the biggest bang for your buck is also a bonus. But I was able to create a program called Meant for More. And that really combines, when I thought about who my target market was and what I wanted to portray or what I wanted to teach, it was very similar to the story that I just talked about of myself, right? Of, hey, let's get like the clarity in what you want to do for your next role. These are for people who are undergoing big career transitions. Kind of what you want to do and why you want to do it, excuse me, then gaining the confidence to do it by tackling self-limiting beliefs, and then creating like a strategic plan so that it's a calculated risk and you're thinking about life and finances and actually setting a schedule to where you start applying to jobs intentionally and then going through the resume, LinkedIn, cover letter, all that jazz. When people think of career coaching, that's what they think of. They think of resume, LinkedIn, cover letter, interviewing, all that kind of stuff. So the program, I actually had 2 people within my pilot, and I still have them because it's a 16-week program. So I'm still working through that. But that was really cool. It was another source of revenue for me to really get into what I love doing. Like, I love the holistic part of it. It's not just working on your resume and your LinkedIn. There's so much more to just that. So that was another stream of revenue. And then my third stream, if you will, was actually when I was discerning when I needed to jump. Again, like Rolanda was saying, sometimes God will put things and opportunities in front of you. So outside of Rolanda reaching out to me when she did, I think that was a very God thing. But then also was another service that I'm licensed through. It's called Career Coach Services, and they provide career coaching through passion and purpose stuff. So basically, what's your passion? What's your purpose? And how can we find a job? And I was like, oh, that's what I want to do. I'm not here just to be a resume writer. So I joined that contracting opportunity, became a licensed and certified career coach through them, and then have been working with that community to get some additional clients as well. So again, that's kind of like the 3 main ways of building that revenue. It was through like the HR consulting opportunity with a local church, and then, excuse me, doing the Meant for More program, which I started and didn't even think of creating until I went through Rolanda's program. But then also by being licensed and contracted through Career Coach Services, I've been able to get some folks as well. So, and then some unpaid opportunities. I work with a career ministry for career coaching in particular. So again, that's not revenue. But I think this is really important for solopreneurs. That unpaid stuff, it really helps kind of get your feet wet and figure out what you like and what you don't like and
Mhm.
what your coaching style is, as
Plus, it
well
helps
as
expand your
big
network.
testimonials. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It
Mhm.
helps build that network a lot. And then also, it's like a really good opportunity for like client testimonials or referrals as well. So, I'm like, okay, like maybe this isn't bringing in money, but I'm still able to help and change people's lives and like bring them closer to what their mission and what their purpose is in life, which to me, that's the goal. Because if I'm not doing that authentically, then I'm not doing my job right. So,
Mhm.
um, again, that's kind of the three different things and whatnot. So, um,
So
yeah.
with BLPS, from direct result from working with me in BLPS, how much
hmm
money did you make?
So through BLPS, I think I made roughly, I have to actually crunch these numbers. So close to 10,000, close to
Okay.
10,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and then with some of the other contracting opportunities as well, and the consulting opportunity, that was probably additional six or 7K around there. So,
So you
yeah,
see, guys, she made her investment back plus a little bit more
yeah,
because she did the work and she stepped
yeah,
out on faith. Part of the Business Launch Prep School program is that we integrate faith in every step of the way.
yeah.
I am a flawed human, so I'm not beating you over the head with the Bible. I'm not judging you. It's really a judge-free space. And if
Mm,
you feel judged, you are I offer, I leave, I try to make you feel comfortable enough to come to me and tell me that
right.
because I can't help you if I don't know. But what I want to help Christians understand is that God doesn't want us to be poor. He doesn't want us to have jobs that we don't like. He doesn't want us to be bad servants of to others. So there's evidence all over the Bible about sales that it's good. Greatest salesperson was Jesus Christ. About business and how to run a business. And so there's opportunities in every module where I have the students go out and find scriptures and then
hmm
they tell us about their thoughts about the scripture that they found.
hmm
I listen, sometimes your thoughts about a scripture is applicable, but you're angry about it. Like, I don't like this, and this is why. That's okay.
Yeah,
Or I have questions about this, and this is why.
yeah,
Or I really love this, and this is why.
yeah,
And it gives you the opportunity to process what you've read instead of just accepting it. Like, let me really process this and think deeply about what I just read. Let me take it in and see if I can apply it to my business.
yeah,
So wealth consciousness is important. So in the pre-work, which is something you don't have to do right away, you can do it like along the way or after, but in the pre-course work, we talk about wealth consciousness. We talk about what you want in your life. What is it that you want so that you can build your future self and build your business to accommodate that. We talk about your mission, vision, and value statement in the pre-work. So there's all these opportunities in the program to fellowship with other women followers who are also in business and hear their perspective about a scripture. I don't care if somebody has like 8 people have the same scripture. I can guarantee there will be 8 separate perspectives and you'll learn something from each. So, because once I put God in my business, things changed. My perspective changed,
yeah,
my money making
yeah,
potential changed. And, I just want to share that with other people, but we're not in there judging folks. We don't have time for that.
yeah, yeah. And it's like,
So,
if God, isn't a person who judges, then why should we be judging ourselves and judging other people? I think
exactly.
that's something I learned, especially if you have a big inner critic. Like, that's something for me.
Perfectionist.
Yeah, I was like, oh, wow, okay. Like, oh, add it, Anna. Like, that was really big.
Hmm.
But I will say, I think one of the things, what also helped as a faith based entrepreneur through BLPS, I think one of the things that I really liked is having like and this is something suggested in the program, of having like weekly, if not like daily conversations with God to help you guide your business decisions. I think I never thought of it like that, of, oh, maybe I just need to like do this on my own and, kind of work. Like I had so much intuition from the Lord to go into this business, but I think it's the idea of continuing your relationship with the Lord and bringing him into those
Mhm.
business decisions and just being really authentic with him. One of the things I heard from a fellow female solopreneur, also, she is very spirit led, very faith led. One of the things she told me a couple weeks ago, she's like, the Holy Spirit is my CEO. And I was like, oh, that is so good. I was like, stop, that is so good. So I think that's something as solopreneurs, especially if you're faith based, that's something to keep in mind too. Like, because the Lord is always, always, always knocking on our door.
Mhm.
And I think it is helpful to, read scripture, share scripture, and then use that as a spiritual shield, like a spiritual sword against, negative forces or the devil who causes that spiritual warfare, because that is a very big thing when you're a
Mhm.
solopreneur. But then I think it's also building that relationship with the Lord and being okay to bring him not only like personal struggles and celebrations,
With your
but then
business.
also business struggles and celebrations, which again, I never really thought of it like that until I went into BLPS. And once I read that, and I think that was in the pre-work actually. I was
Mhm.
like, oh wow, like that's really cool. I never thought of it like that. It was just
Yes.
making sense, but I was like, I don't know why I never thought of it like that. I don't know. So that was just really cool insight as well.
One of
So
my pilot students in success stories, Latorsha Pilate, CEO of Determined Steps, she created that first module. I was like, hey, do you want to become a
yeah,
revenue partner and do this module because you do it like way better? Like I can't do it. She taught me that skill. So I was like, can you teach it to
yeah,
the rest of the group?
yeah.
Um,
I love
and
that.
one last thing before we wrap it up, or before I let Anna say her final words, is part of being an active member of the Business Launch Prep School community is I offer you guys opportunities to share your business. I do what I can to find opportunities for you to get on podcast or blogs or
Yeah.
whatever comes
Yeah,
my
she
way.
does.
I'm like, you know what? I know somebody who can do this, or there's a
Yeah.
skill that you have. Can I pay you
Yeah.
to help me out with it? There's another success story who she does biographies, wonderful biographies. So anytime I have a new client who pays in full, I'm like, hey, I got another one for you. Do you have time?
Yeah.
So I try to find ways to um, put my money where my mouth is
Yeah.
and like bring you e- e- exposure within my reach, and bring you opportunities to make more money and support you along the way. Many of my clients will tell you, like, I still check up on them after they have left a year or two ago. I'm still
Yeah.
like, hey, how are you doing? And they're like, I don't want any services. No, I'm just checking to see if you're well, if your kids are okay. Like, if you
Yeah.
want to come back, I'm not going to say no.
Yeah. Like, I'm
But I'm
not
just
denying that.
checking. I'm just seeing if
Yeah.
you're okay.
Yeah.
Clients who graduate from the program are affiliates. They get a portion of what's earned from the person they refer. And if they enroll, they get a portion of that, because guess what? What better recruiter of a program than somebody who's successfully gone through it and they're happy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's so authentic.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we close up, what recommendations do you have for anybody who's on the fence about enrolling in Business Launch Prep School?
Ooh.
Or even just talking to me, they're like, she keeps hopping in my DMs. I don't know if I should talk to her.
Yeah. No, I think it's a really good question. I think like what Rolanda was saying earlier is just trust and have faith. I think that the Lord will help guide that decision. And there's probably a reason why she has come across your door, because she is just someone who is very authentic and is just very service oriented, just has like a really serving and caring heart. And I think as if you're looking for not only like someone who can not only be a coach and knows her stuff, right, but then also like is there to help guide you and support you and encourage you outside. Like she goes above and beyond a lot of other coaches who are out there who tend to be more transactional and care more about the money. She really goes out of your way, just like she was mentioning, she really goes out of your way to make sure that you're okay, that you're succeeding, that you're getting opportunities to learn and grow, and that she can attune to your needs throughout the program. That's what I would recommend. And I, honestly, like you can't put a price tag on that. Just all of that support and just someone with a very faith-driven heart. Um, you can't put a price tag on that. So if someone's on the fence, I encourage you to do it. But I also think that, it's something that the Lord, um, have a discussion with the Lord. And then if you do have any questions, or if you are on the fence, like, I'd be happy to chat with you too. Like, I would love to share with you my experience. But like I've said throughout this podcast, is that, people within the program, including myself, they're definitely getting results, both monetary and spiritually. Like if you want to be mentally and emotionally and financially fed, this is the program for you. And again, I'm very thankful for the Lord just kind of plopping this on my lap of like, here you go. Do you want to start your business? Here you go. This is how to do it. So I'm just very thankful for that, and would encourage people to really consider the program, because there's so much packed in there, and you get lifetime access. And I'm like, that's amazing. I'm like, to get lifetime access, I still look at stuff, like I still go back through the program. Even though I've graduated from it, I still go back and like, wait, how should I do sales objections, and like how do I put up a contract, or tax season is coming around the corner, what the heck do I do? So again, very tactical, very strategic stuff in there, and just like mentally and emotionally as well, which is needed more so than you think,
Yes.
as a solopreneur. So Rolanda knows firsthand that it's definitely needed. So highly, highly, highly encourage. But
Thank you. Okay, shameless plug.
woo!
What do you have on the docket right now? Are you starting another cohort soon? Are you what what is your big thing right now? What
Oh,
should we know?
that's such a good question. So I believe I think this is something that I want to, kind of think and pray about. But what I'm doing right now is figuring out how to build partnerships and content creation, and
Mhm.
focusing specifically on faith elements. So if that's
Okay.
something that you're interested in talking about, like very similar to this, right? Like where
Mhm.
we're sitting side by side, talking about different topics,
Mhm.
or just things that are going on from a career perspective.
Mhm.
That's kind of a project that I'm working on now, and hoping
Mhm.
that we can get some more partnerships on that.
Mhm.
And then in terms of, kind of what's going on with my cohort and whatnot, I think we're going to wait until the new year to see, and start that possibly.
Mhm.
But then also through like the contracting opportunity that I have, I'm continuing to sell career coaching packages. So a
Mhm.
lot of that stuff about, passion and purpose, even like faith-based elements, like all of that kind of stuff, resume, LinkedIn cover letter, definitely going to keep selling through that and whatnot.
Mhm.
So again, if you're interested in wanting to be on a podcast, or um, interested in career coaching, or know anyone who wants to do career coaching, that is an option. And then I also also hold, excuse me, prayer sessions for people. So if you're not financially able to do career
Mhm.
coaching, but you're like, you know what? I'm just like really struggling and
Mhm.
I really just need a prayer. I also host 15-minute prayer sessions
Mhm.
for people. No sales, no gimmicks, no charge, like literally just bringing in space where the Lord can be invited in and just speak some truth on you. So again, it's kind of a little bit of everything, but a few different things, both you know, um, just course wise and non course wise. So
So I'm going to help you shameless plug. The benefit of working with Anna over working with another organization that has a culmination of things is Anna is building her program, right?
mhm,
So in the building of a program leaves a lot of opportunities for clients to get a lot more specific tailored help.
yeah,
Plus, she has a long history of success before she started her own business. So this isn't her first time. You're not her first client for helping get like career development or consulting. She just started on her own recently, but she
mhm,
has a long history of making big changes in people's lives for the positive and organizations for the positive.
yeah,
So getting with her now before she's too busy to be the one to give you individual customized help is a great idea because guess what? Her next cohort, or at least cohort 2 and 3, 2 or 3, most likely 3, her prices are going to double. I'm
yeah,
saying this because that's what I taught her. We go through the beta at 50% off and then we bump it up. So you need to get in now so you can get that holistic career development that she's going to give you. She takes it way beyond a resume and
yeah.
interview skills. Like she goes deeper so that when you do the resume, when you get the job, you can keep the job and you can get paid more. She really makes it so you don't need her anymore after that. She fires herself. So at the end of the day, you need to hop on board, while she's still developing this, because in the development, that's where you get that customized help. That's when somebody's like, listen, I got time to give you some extra time, to listen to you extra to fine tune this just for you. And then from there, she takes that and puts it into her next cohort. Don't sleep on Anna. Okay. In March, you can be like, gulp. I should have signed
Yeah.
up.
You're so sweet. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And yeah, it's so many career coaches or resume writers, they just focus on the resume or they just focus on the LinkedIn. I'm like, oh no, that's just a band aid solution. There is so much more to that. And
Mhm.
that's why we really dig into intentionality. Like, what is your passion? What is your purpose? How do we spend all of your energy and time into that? And then, again, that career transition, it's big, it's scary, it's overwhelming.
Mhm.
And having some emotional support and encouragement in
Really does
tackling
go
a
a
lot of
long
those
way.
self-limiting things, it goes a really, really long way. It really is all about a big piece of it, I should say, is about mindset. So
Mhm.
all the resume stuff, that's an after effect, but you're not, if you don't do any of the stuff before, you're building on a really, really shaky foundation. So
Mhm.
yeah, I appreciate you adding to the shameless plug and whatnot. So I
How can
appreciate
we
that.
find
But
you?
yeah, so I would say for me, I stay the most updated on LinkedIn. So definitely connect with me there. I also have just more about me and my website, or more about me and just like my background and whatnot on my website. If you go to www.summersolstice, SOULSTICE, coach.com. So again, www.summersolsticecoach.com. That's where you'll learn a little bit more about what I do. And then, of course, on LinkedIn as well. That's where you'll get more of my flavor, my posting, lots of updates and things like that. It's more dynamic. So, and if you want to book a discovery call, that's www.calendly.com/summer solstice/discovery call. And that's where we'll have a 60-minute free consultation on um, what your passions are, what your goals are, and how I can best help you. So,
Okay.
yeah,
So, thank you so much, Anna, for being here.
yeah,
Thank you so much for sharing your journey, your truth, your fears,
yeah,
and your accomplishments. Thank you for giving us the honest truth. I really do appreciate it. This is probably going to
yeah.
be two separate podcast episodes, which is going to be great. I mean, just 2 weeks
I
I
know. I'm
don't have
looking
to
at the time. I'm
record.
like, oh wow, woo, 50 minutes. I love it. I
They
love
went
it. I'm
by
here
so
for it.
fast.
I know. I know. But I do appreciate you inviting me and allowing me to join the podcast and whatnot. And just again, for all of your assistance and help throughout my first few months as a solopreneur. So I appreciate everything. And I'm just very, very grateful. That's an understatement. That's really an understatement. So thank
Thank
you.
you so
Yeah,
much.
absolutely.
All right, everybody. So, basically, what we're going to do is call it a day. We're going to wrap up this. Make sure you visit Business Launch Prep School. And the link is right here, home.blps.live. I am currently intaking new clients for the January spring 2023 cohort, and I only have 10 spots. Only 10 spots. And that's the max. That's just so I can make sure I give time to each and every person who attends. So if I'm hitting you up in your inbox, watch this, pay attention to this, read my other reviews, listen to my other content and such, and, sign up for a demo so you can see what the program is about. You know, 2023, just because we're going into a recession doesn't mean your finances are over. Millionaires are made in recessions. Millionaires are made in recessions. I'm not saying you're going to be a millionaire. I'm saying that is a hotbed of opportunity to find out what your target audience needs, who your target audience is, and what they need, and give it to them. And when you give people a solution to a problem, they will pay for it, and they will pay attention, and they will be engaged, and they'll be happy that you provided the opportunity. So visit home.blps.live, home.blps.live. I am enrolling right now for the January 2023 spring cohort. Thank you so much. God bless you all.